Hi guys, so before we can discuss what happened to Omran Daqneesh, I hope I'm saying his name right. First we need to understand what it is that's going on in Syria and what caused this whole situation to happen. It of no use does it do us being upset about what's going on and being angry about all the suffering that these poor children are going through if we don't understand what it is that's going on over there and we don't know what it is that we could do to help. So the very first thing that we can do to help the situation is be informed and be aware of what's going on, being educated on the reality that's happening right now. And then I'm not saying that we can't be upset about what's going on. Obviously, no, yes, you should be upset. And it's not fair to these children. You know, like at first it was that poor boy that was washed up on the shore. Everybody was making a big deal about that, and it was a big deal, but nothing really changed. So now it's Omran, and still, you know, we need to understand what's going on so we can help the situation. So I want to talk about how things were before the war. And before the war, there was a high unemployment rate. There was widespread corruption. There was lack of political freedom, and it was a state of repression under the President Bashar. Back in March 2011, a group of 13-year-old boys wrote on the side of their school, "The government must go." This caused these kids, because they were kids, 13-year-old boys, they got arrested and they were tortured for this. Which is like, what? You know? Residents of a small southern city took to the streets to protest the torture of the students. The government responded to these small southern cities coming out and protesting with heavy force. And then this caused even more people to come out demanding President Assad's resignation. On April 2011, after lifting the country's decade-old state of emergency, the president began sending tanks into cities to fire on demonstrators. By July 2011, hundreds of thousands were taken to the streets across the country. Opposition supporters then began to arm themselves. At first, it was just so they can defend themselves, but then after a while, it became something that they were arming themselves so they can take back cities, and they would, expel security forces. Rebel brigades were formed to battle government forces for control of the cities, like I just said, cities, towns, and countrysides. Now in 2012, the war reached the capital, Damascus, and second city, Aleppo. And then by 2013, 90,000 people had been killed already. And then by August 2015, 250,000, according to activists and the UN. The war was more than just wanting to overthrow the president by now. It had developed into a battle between sects. So the majority, 75% of the country was, they're all Sunni Muslims, and a minority of 12%, including the president, they're Shia. Shia Alawite, I don't know how to say that word, but I'll write it right here. There was ethnic tensions, the introduction of world powers, jihadist groups, ISIS, and other terrorist organizations were all just going in there. All of this, and it's really the civilians who pay the price. The UN Commission of Inquiry has evidence that all parties of the conflict had committed war crimes, including murder, torture, rape, and enforced disappearances. They have also been accused of using civilian suffering, such as blocking access to food, water, and health services as a method of war. Many have been killed by barrel bombs dropped by government aircrafts. ISIS has also been accused by the UN of waging a campaign of terror. It has inflicted severe punishment on those who transgress and refuse to follow its rules, including hundreds of public executions and amputations. On August 2013, rockets filled with the nerve agent were fired at several suburbs of Damascus. Western powers said it could only be by the government, but the government blames the rebels. President Assad, he agreed to stop using the use of chemical weapons because he was scared that the U.S. would interfere. However, the use of chemical weapons are still being detected by the Organization for the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons. Chlorine was used systematically and repeatedly in deadly attacks on rebel-held areas between April and July 2014. ISIS has also been accused of using homemade chemical weapons, including sulfur mustard. The warring parties have compounded the problems by refusing humanitarian agencies access to civilians in need. Up to 4.5 million people in Syria live in hard-to-reach places, including nearly 400,000 people who live in 15 besieged locations who do not have access to life-saving aid. In the fourth year of the war, over 6.9 million people have been displaced, and over half of these refugees are children, 1.2 million in 2015 alone. As the refugee numbers hit over 4 million, the Syrian refugee crisis became the biggest of our time. ISIS has now taken control of many territories among northern and eastern Syria, as well as neighboring Iraq. This has caused many foreign fighters now involved in a war within a war, battling rebels and jihadists from the Al-Qaeda affiliated Nusra Front, as well as government forces. What started off as another Arab Spring uprising against an autocratic ruler mushroomed into a brutal proxy war that has drawn regional and world powers. Iran and Russia propped the government and increased their support. Tehran is believed to be spending billions of dollars a year providing Assad with military advisors and subsidized weapons, as well as lines of credits and oil transfer. Russia has meanwhile launched an air campaign against Assad's opponents. They have also received support from Lebanon's Shia Islamic Hezbollah movement. The Sunni side has received support from its international backers, Turkey, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and Jordan. They also received aid from the US, UK, and France, but was soon to be denied, fearing that it would end up in the hands of ISIS. And a US program to train 5,000 rebels was soon to be abandoned as well, causing disappointment and leaving people hopelessly believing that the extremists were their only hope. On May 2016, the Syrian Observation for Human Rights reported the number of children killed in the conflict had risen to 14,040, along with 9,106 women. As we can tell, the problem in Syria is extremely grave, and these people are suffering so much every single day because it's not just a civil war anymore. It's so many different things. It's ISIS fighting rebels and the government, and it's just a whole bunch of stuff going on right now. It's a war within a war, so it's not just a civil war anymore. It's like so many different things going on, and who pay the price? The civilians are the ones that pay the price, and people like Omran and his family are the ones who pay the price. And it's not fair that these people are innocent and they have to live through this. We need to do something about this. We need to help these people, and our governments, they need to allow the refugees to escape this nightmare. And kids like Omran should be allowed to go to school and to have normal lives. They shouldn't be scared to live or be so in shock that when your house falls down and you're under all this rubble from your house being bombed, and there's no type of emotion on your face, no crying, no nothing. This is ridiculous. This is not fair. Omran is 5 years old. He lived in Aleppo. He was rescued by volunteers from Syria's civil defense group known as the White Helmets. He was rescued along with 3 other children. When he was rescued, doctors believed that he may have internal injuries. The reason why they believed that he was going to have internal injuries was because he was pinned under the remains of a building, which collapsed an hour after he was rescued. But after examination, his injuries were just all superficial, which is great. Omran lives with his mother, his father, and 3 siblings who all miraculously survived the strike. However, unfortunately, news reached that his brother actually died that following Saturday due to the severe injuries that he had received from the strike. Doctors were saying that Omran was silent the whole time. He never said anything, not once, only to ask for his parents. He didn't cry. He didn't, nothing, no emotion, nothing at all. It was only when he saw his mother that he started crying. And, you know, like, I have 2 boys. I have a 3-year-old and I have a 4-year-old. And it breaks my heart to see this little boy in such a shocked state. He was literally like in a state of shock. The fact that his face had no emotion at all is terrifying, and it's unfair that these kids have to go through this. And the government of Syria should be ashamed. They shouldn't allow so many people to go through all this stuff, including children. This little boy is going to be scarred for life. This is going to be something that's going to take a long time for him to recover. It's not fair, and nobody should have to go through this, especially not little kids. I can only imagine the pain in these parents' hearts after seeing how their boy reacted, and then so soon after that losing another boy. It's not fair, and we need to take a stand, and we need to help the people of Syria. We need to raise awareness. We need to be aware of what's going on, and we need to do something about it. We need to donate to credible organizations so these people can have a life. We should volunteer. We need to do something. Over $4.5 million are needed to adequate care for refugees, and only 1.3 has been received by the international community, leaving an overwhelmed gap of $3.1 million needed. I know that sounds like a lot, but there's a lot of people out there. There's definitely more than 3.5 million people out there. If we all donated just $1, they will have that money. What's $1? We need to raise awareness. We need to help these people. We need to do something about this. I want you to know that we're all responsible. We're all responsible because this shouldn't happen. This should not be happening. Our countries should be over there helping these people, not enforcing the war. We should be stopping the war. It's not fair. Think about if it was your kids, if it was your family that was going through this. And many people, it is their families, because there's a lot of people out here in the United States, in the UK, or wherever you guys are, and they have family in Syria. And they have to sit here and live through all this and not know if their family members are alive, or if they're dead, or if they're suffering, or if they're going hungry. Nobody should have to live like this. Not in 2016. We need to do something, and we need to wake up now. I know this was a different kind of video, and I think this is going to be the kind of videos that I'm going to start making. I want to be able to raise awareness and talk about the problems that are going on right now with our Muslim community and with the world pretty much. So if you like these kind of news videos and informative videos, give it a thumbs up and share with your friends, because we need to share awareness. We need to be aware of what's going on. So please share with your friends so that we can all be aware. And I will link down below whatever I find. Please, please, please share this video and give it a thumbs up, because the more you thumbs it up, the more it shows up in people's recommended list. So please give it a thumbs up and share with your friends, and subscribe for more videos like this. I will try to keep you guys updated with everything that's going on in the world, and giving you my opinion, and trying my best to do my part to raise awareness and keep people informed. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Assalamu alaikum. Bye.